Hello class, welcome back again. I'm quite happy to see you today. How are you? Everything okay? Everything fine? Right. What a beautiful day. You know what? I'm feeling generous today, so I'm gonna make an offer you cannot refuse. Alright, now my question is, does any one of you remember what the movie was? Okay, that was The Godfather. You got a good memory. Fine. And what kind of accent is this? Does anybody knows? Anyone knows? Yeah, it's Italian. Right. So, how did you guess it was Italian? Because you know it. Because you heard it before. Is anyone Spanish here? Yes. Ramon and Julio. Fine. So, I remember once I was in a restaurant and I was just having my meal and a couple of students, because they were quite young, came in and basically looked for the manager. And the funny thing was they have a quite strong accent. So they came in and say, "Hello, I'm looking for the manager." And that was another accent that I would never forget. There's a television sitcom of, I think, the early 80s or end of the 90s, a quite British UK sitcom called Fawlty Towers. In that comedy, the main actor, which basically was John Cleese, a very good English speaker and good actor also, had a sparring partner, which name was, I don't remember now the name of the actor, but the character was Manuel, a Spanish waiter. And he was famous because every time he was caught with his fingers into the jar, so to say. What is it? An idiom. Cool. Finger into the jar means caught with something that you shouldn't do. So each and every time he was caught in that situation, he would say, "Me, no, nothing," because he was Mexican, or at least from Barcelona or something like that. Now, apart all the jokes, you see that I ostensibly and forcibly played different accents and different way of speaking English. I could have carried on and say that I'm speaking English because I want you to listen carefully to what I'm saying. This would have been the classic Italian accent, spaghetti, pasta, mandolin. Now you see that if I were arriving for the first time abroad, let's say in UK or in USA, I would have probably have few problems, wouldn't I? What do you think? Yes? No? Yes. Yes. But well, you see, the problem here is multiple, is with many layers. Because it's not only to know vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. We're talking, as I said, on intonation, accent, and stress. When I say stress, I don't mean people get stressed because they learn in English. They might. I did myself. And especially when I have low marks. But we're talking about English pronunciation, which basically is made of different elements that goes back to stressing words. Prior to get to this, it is important to understand how phonetic works, because here we are in the field of phonetics. Now, phonetics is the description of a discipline of linguistics that focus on the study of the sounds used in speech. So we're talking, I'm talking, this is a conversation, I'm using sounds. That would be phonetics. To produce these sounds, we use various organs. We don't need to get so much in depth, but we still need to know what we're talking about. So we have three basic organs, and these organs are lungs and this of course will be to breathe. But then we will have vocal chords, or are they called in modern times vocal folds. Vocal folds are here in this part. So we have lungs that will give air, and then vocal folds. But it's not all, because of course we have articulators. And here comes the most interesting part, articulators. Okay, I can hear some snoring here. I know, it might seem boring, it might, but trust me on this, it is important. And you will see why in a minute. Articulators, what are they? What are they? Probably articulators can be something like the pharynx, the teeth, the alveolar ridge, the mouth, and the nose. Now, I don't want to put too much on your plate for this. Let's leave it with the articulators, okay? Another important thing that we really need to consider when we talk about speech production is... No, it's gone. Ah, you're happy, eh? But I have another one. Lips. Lips are very important. And tongue. So, we have lungs for the air, vocal folds or chords to articulate the sounds, articulators that will materially articulate, so teeth, the jaw is considered an articulator, and the various position of the tongue inside the oral cavity, nose, nostrils behind, lips, A, E, they're very important, especially when it comes to press them to make it open, and tongue that can go up, down, backward, frontward. Okay, is that clear enough? I'll leave you 1 minute or two to copy everything from here, okay? Have you done it? Cool. Let's move on. So, why this NCIS style lesson? Because, for instance, the tongue is responsible for many sounds, including the vowel sounds, just to give an example. So, for instance, the work of vocal cords and the force of the exhalation will produce the English consonants. And here we have two kinds of English consonant. Let's call it voiced, more strong, and voiceless, less strong. So, to give an example, please take note. On the stronger side, we will have pipe, or tight, or church, or pressure. Can you see pressure? Tight. On the less strong vowel, we will have something like Bible, diet, gag, judge, pleasure. So you see, the tongue is quite important when it comes to pronunciation. Having said that, it is also important to take consideration about the word stress, which is all the things that we have studied so far. Where do they go? To word stress. In English native speakers will have word stress quite naturally. But for that part, for now, I will only say that every word is made of syllables, and each has its own 1, 2, 3 or more syllable. What is important that the stress will be on one syllable only. For next week, I want you to practice on the worksheet that I gave you and see whether you can divide each word by the proper syllable and pronounce it correctly. That's all for now. See you next time. Bye!